Welcome to Metatech Podcast, where we discuss with thought leaders in the Web3 about new technologies, Metaverse, the blockchain, and the future of the internet. Founded by Dor Cohen and hosted by Ricardo Carrion and Wendy Lopez.
Hello, everybody. This is Ricardo Carrion, and I'm your host for the Metatech podcast. And here with me is Wendy Supergirl, my co-host. And we have today a very special guest, Oron Snir. Oron, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, Oron, tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you build in the Web3 space.
Okay, sure. So first of all, I'm based in Israel. Uh, I used to work in India for a couple of years, doing consulting and business for Israeli companies, trying to penetrate the Indian market. And then I moved to a VC based in Europe. So I was part of the investment team at Mangrove Capital. It's a Luxembourg-based VC with offices across Europe and Israel. So I was in charge of investing in the Israeli market alongside the other investment team in Israel. And after a couple of years in the VC, I went to a detour. I took a detour and I went on to the digital health industry. I opened my own company dealing with early detection of cancer. I was in a point in my career that I was or in keeping with the VC track, or I'm going to open my own company. And I choose the health industry. And a year ago, I decided to go back to the VC world and join as a venture partner to Mindfulness Capital. So on my days early on the VC in Europe, it was 2015, 16, 17, I was very excited about blockchain. And back then it was I call it the first cycle, because before that, the cycles were only about Bitcoin. When Ethereum went out in 2014, so around 2015, 16, 17, that was the first cycle of what we know today as blockchain crypto. And it was very interesting. And I was a part of a lot of investments going on. It was days where a group of investors coming together, everyone put a small amount, and together you have the power to go into investment and ICOs. And it was very interesting to see that. And so all those 6-7 years I was in the industry, mainly as an investor and advisor. And now I'm taking 100% going back to the industry with the fund itself. And I'm in charge of investing in Israel and Europe. The fund is based in Hong Kong. So I have partners in all over Asia, and I'm the one that's in charge in the Middle East and Europe. And we have also connections in America and Australia as well.
Very good, very exciting. And what is the fund? Is there kind of like a specific type of companies that the fund is investing on, Oron?
So I can tell a little bit about what we did in the past, and it will show what we are looking at as well.
What you can share with us, yeah.
Yes, so around 2018, my partner Thomas, who is the GP of the fund, he got very excited about the industry as well, and he got introduced to the guys of Sandbox. So Mindfulness Capital were part of the angel round of Sandbox for the 2019. Everyone knows what happened with Sandbox. It was a great success, but it's not about the success. It's about recognized mega trends before they are coming into reality. So we are big believers in trying to make your own decisions, but take a research step before that. So when your approach or you're getting introduced to a company, it should be based on something that you did, back home, research or analysis about a specific subject. So we are very into understand what we want to achieve in specific areas in the space, and then looking to invest in those specific areas in teams, or even it can be kind of incubation. If I know a founder which is working on something that I want to invest in, and I know another tech guy who is looking for his next challenge, I will be happy to merge between those guys and give the capital and the resources to open the company. Um, I think that in 2018, 19, and even 2020, we saw a huge building phase. And from that cycle, companies like Starkware, which is doing ZK scalability, and companies like Fireblocks, which dealing with the cybersecurity for asset. I think now it's another cycle of building, and I'm very into finding those big companies that will be shown in the next cycle. Let's call it 2024, 25, 26. I believe we will see huge companies coming out of today building phase, and I really believe it can be all the big protocols. I saw, we saw, I think everyone saw, but Polkadot in 2018, it was a dream, but after like 3 years, it's one of the top blockchains in the world. So I believe we will see the next evolution of layer one protocols, like what we saw with Polka, with Avalanche, with the Near protocol today, and Solana, of course. I think we will see much more bigger companies. And I believe those companies will come from what we call Web 2 founders or Web 2 developers. And not just only blockchain, crypto, people that are in the industry for years.
So you're seeing more like Web 2 companies are going to embrace Web 3 and they're going to become successful embracing it? Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think I see a lot of talent shifting. Let's call it web is a big world. So let's Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. They're all basically people that are building. I see a lot of people are coming into the space and trying to understand what they can build or looking at problems that they can solve. I still was early in the days of finding big problems, because today, for example, you see a lot of people spoke in the last 2 years about scalability. And then we saw a couple of companies trying to solve it. And then we saw a couple of companies trying to build a DEX. 4 or 5 years ago, DEX was nothing to talk about, right? It was big exchanges. Basically, you don't know what's happening. The data and the money is parking in those exchanges and nobody knows. And I think the shift, what we see today in the last few months as well, is the shift between Web 2 and Web 3 is about ownership. It's about users. It's about the data, even where they store the data, not if they use it or not. And yeah, I think Web 2 to Web 3 will be a great shift of developers that will come from the space with a lot of experience. So if I was a developer in what we call Web 2 for 10 years, I have a lot of experience on how to do it. It doesn't matter if it's Web 2 or Web 3. So the experience and the amount of experience that they will bring I think that it will be a good infrastructure to build bigger companies. And what you just mentioned before that, I think that there will be a link between existing companies and, new companies. I saw in the software SaaS area on the last 10 years in Israel, I saw a lot of companies being built within the company, like incubation. So company like Wix.com, which is a very big company in Israel, public one on NASDAQ. You saw at least 10 companies going out of Wix over the years, big ones. A guy from marketing team, a guy is developer, this guy is a business guy. They sit together at lunchtime and they build something. I think we can see something like that as well coming out in the Web3.
And what application areas or what are the areas in which you see, this all of these layer one, layer twos, grow the most in, let's say, the short term, like this year, next year?
Yeah, I think beside protocols, which is something that I really like to invest in on deep tech, I think all the infrastructure of identity layer and how wallets are connected and where the data is stored, the storage thing and the computation, decentralized computation, and all that infrastructure tools will be a big, if we really want to see shift between Web 2 to Web 3 or shift between million user to billion user, we have to build the infrastructure like we built the web in the last 20 years. And then I think the developer tools, it's something that is very important to build the app. So all the frameworks and all the thing for developer tools, it will be a very, it's not a niche, but it's still infrastructure. And on top of that, I think what we will see, I don't think in 2023, maybe in 2 or 3 years, we'll see the whole depth phase, above all the infrastructure. So if the infrastructure will be strong enough and excited enough, we will see, the next phase of how we take this technology and basically bring it to the people through those apps or dApps.
I do have
All right. So
about about like opportunities into the entertainment industry, but for Web3 into the Web3 space, right? So, what do you feel that this part of the Web3 is gonna be in 2-3 years? Do you think that there is a lot of potential there? What is your opinion about that part?
Yes, I think what I mentioned, dApps, building on top of infrastructure, is specifically, and also, all the NFT, Metaverse, all the ownership of even, songwriters or art or whatever you're creating. I think we will see a crazy shift, between the generations of, I'm part of the generation that was maybe creating something online, but not holding it and cannot monetize it, of course, unless you're selling it in a closed marketplace, like, I don't know, Etsy. If I'm making a table and I can sell it on Etsy, it's fine, but it's not really my ownership and my data and stuff like that. I think that this generation will be much more active in terms of holding my asset, monetize my asset, reclaim my asset or data. And I think NFT, it's, people spoke about NFT last year and 2 years ago, and it was a word that goes up in the hype and goes down today. Now NFT people are afraid because, but NFT, it's just, it's just a word for a specific token which runs on Ethereum. I think we'll see a huge shift in how communities are being driven through this kind of NFT or ownership asset. And, even singers, every influencer will have his own community and you can monetize it. I see it, how it can be monetized quite fast on using digital assets on blockchain.
Yeah, but what you're saying is that, yeah, go ahead, Wendy.
That is very interesting because we have seen that TikTok has really faced YouTube, right, by helping the content creators and monetize that, and they are not into any blockchain. So what about the scalability of bringing that concept like TikTok, but into the Web3 space? Do you feel that we have a long way to develop, or maybe we are close? What is your opinion about that?
I think we still have a way, because today it's very difficult to distinguish between a real product which can bring advantage or incentive to people using technology like TikTok, where influencers can make money, and the blockchain. Like today, it's not really understandable why we need blockchain. We can use just a database and run TikTok on, servers, and that's it. It's very easy. But I think even TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever we spoke about, they didn't succeed in really monetize it to the people. So you have 0 point something percent of the people can monetize using TikTok, the ones that have above 100K followers or whatever. And even that, it's required, a lot. It's like, it's not everyone can do it. It's not distributed between everyone. It's again, the 1% who can basically, get expenses or get a connection or born in some specific place where it's, more easy to acquire those fans and monetize it. And for example, let's take emerging markets. We take Africa, for example, Nigeria. Nigeria is a place where people buying and using cryptocurrency like crazy. And there is a reason, because the government, the banks, the financial system is not really advanced in that way. So the generation is basically not fighting, but it's like seeing the reality, and it's not fit the reality for them. So they're trying to look for other options, and then they find them in the financial in financials, like a financial asset like Bitcoin. So this is, that is the financial side of it. People want to use Bitcoin and blockchain because they want to make money or they want to store their value, and there is a financial system. But if you take the financial system and you link it to, for example, to TikTok, I think it can be huge. But again, I think there is still, time of explanation, of education, of developing the right technology to use distributed blockchain to really see the potential. It's difficult, I think, now to see the full potential, but I can say that I see a lot of companies today, a lot of startups that are raising money, and I see the DEX, a lot of social media content creators, creators marketplaces is being built, and they have some traction. Traction is nice, but again, most of the traction comes from people within the crypto space. People that know how to hold tokens, people that know how to deal with transactions. Still not,
mainstream.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, for what you're saying, what you see growing in the most immediate future would be more infrastructure type of, you know, startups, right? I mean, companies that work on infrastructure like the ID layer and all of those things, and then eventually you see more, or the the development tools, and then eventually you see more and more sophisticated dApps being built on top of that. Is that what you're seeing in the marketplace, Oron?
Yeah. That is also what we are looking for. So for us, it's very easy. If someone is approaching us, 10 minutes to the conversation, I can put the company in the bucket that I want them to be, or I think they should be. Then the call or the due diligence process is it's not easy, but it's more reasonable. Because, for example, if infrastructure comes to us and it's building a new blockchain, I know that it will take 4 years for them to be out.
Yeah.
Like Avalanche, Solana, Polka, Near, like those guys were building 4 or 5 years ago, and they see the exponential growth after 3-4 years, because it's really, there is a phase of development need to be taken. If someone is coming and say, "Oh, I'm doing a marketplace for creators," basically he need to bring traction from day one, and if he's not bringing the traction, so it's very easy to judge the company or to make the due diligence quite fast. Either you have the people that are excited about your job or product or development or technology, or not. And I know that it's limited. You will not bring 2 million users to an NFT marketplace today. But even if you bring 10K, 20K, and those guys are engaged in some way, it's interesting, because in a year or two, when the market will be better, you can monetize it to 1 million. I think 1 million users in blockchain is a lot. If you take
And then if you have 10K engaged users, and those are creators, and those are seeing value and monetizing their stuff on the blockchain, that's pretty powerful. I mean, in any ball run, that will become a million, and it will become a $1 billion business eventually, right? I mean, it's pretty cool. You're mentioning a couple of times now the creator marketplaces. Which do you have some that have got your attention because they're interesting, and what is it that they are providing in terms of allowing the creators? Is it monetization? Is it identification? What is it, the value that you see that those marketplaces are providing to the creators.
I'll give an example about creators on the gaming space.
Okay.
I saw few companies, we, we can say it's also even competitors in some way, which allowing gamers or gaming games or gaming creators to basically onboard or shift from Web 2 to Web 3 using SDK or even single line of code. The shift from Web 2 to Web 3, it's very simple to explain because basically you're giving users something on top of what they got before that. So either it can be a wallet with tokens or points to do something, or NFTs to use within the games, or even cross platforms or cross game NFTs. So you can take your sword from this battle game and move it to the other game using the
Kind of
same
like
power and
interoperability.
exactly on cross games. And that it's not a marketplace, but it allows for example gaming or gamers or the studios itself to move quickly, not trying to understand and develop a token or develop the wallet or develop the access identity or the NFT, because usually they don't know what it is. So if I give it as an SDK and you just pay it for as a subscription, if 10K users or 20K users, they pay $1, you're creating a SaaS company. SDK, it's something that's very useful in the SaaS software technology industry. And you can easily onboard games from Web 2 to Web 3, or even try to make it happen, because I'm not sure if the users will use it, but it's very easy to test it if you have this SDK and you don't need to develop. I saw 3 companies doing the same from different geographical location. It was funny because they're doing the same, but they have, not the same mentality in those markets. So a company from Portugal, it's not a company from Hong Kong. But the core basic of the vision, how we onboard more users to Web3 is the same.
Yeah, but man, maybe even the creators in those marketplaces are different and they have different needs. So it's like, for example, with let's say, point of sale software for restaurants, and I've been close to that market, and the point of sale that works in Brazil does not necessarily work in Mexico, does not necessarily work in the US, because even though the concept is the same, as you said, the reality is that in each of those markets there are regulations, there are fiscal regulations, there are, even what people consider normal or not. So you end up with a bunch of different POS softwares all around the world, because there's kind of like these local markets that those differences matter at the end of the day. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I think gaming has an opportunity to become huge, right, for creators, because gaming is such a huge economy, and there's all these people that are creating stuff, from the big Twitch broadcasters to a guy that just creates a skin for a game or a weapon for a game that everybody wants, and that's really cool. And yeah, go ahead, Nor.
I think gaming is one of the most interesting part in gaming is that users in gaming, the gamers usually, are very connected to the crypto space in all ways, on the investment side and on the ability to understand the technology, and the number one thing that you want as a creator or as a developer or as a company, you don't want this education phase to be taken, because it's a long process of educating, and if you don't succeed in educating, nobody will buy. But in gaming, those guys are educated more than you usually, and they understand the crypto, blockchain, Web3 world better than you.
Better. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, you're right. You're totally right. Now, for people that want to join this space, people that are looking to start a brand new company, and they're looking to get funded by a fund like the one you work on, what would you recommend that they do today? And 2023?
Yeah, I think first it's a very good stage to be in, because if you were asking me that last year or start of 2021, I told people, just buy asset, make some money, spend some money, lose some money. You cannot build anything in that market. In bull market, you cannot build because everything is on fire.
This is
Yeah.
very expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive, and the rounds are very expensive, and people are throwing money, and when the time comes, like today, after a year, when it goes down, not a lot of people can survive, even if you have a couple of millions from VCs, because you were in 2021 and they thought you were good, and the valuation was very high, so they gave you $5 million on 30 million valuation, and now you don't have sometimes the product market fit. Users are out. There is no volume. So basically, it's very difficult. But in our case, 2023, well, I don't know if it will change. It seems that it can be changed dramatically to a bull market. But let's say there is a year of flat market. Nothing is go up or down so much, and everyone is afraid of the crisis of the world financial thing. I think it's the best time to build, and we have time, and there is no distractions. So you're not sitting at night and say, "Oh, I have to invest in that coin. Oh, I have to do that," because you see things moving ups and downs so fast. I think you have to require education on technology. I think it's one of the spaces where if you don't know how to explain or how to listen to a guy which discuss technology, it's very difficult to be in this market. So you have to be specific in something. Even if you're a marketing guy, which know how to market to consumer, and you can, join a creator marketplace and make it a success on the marketing side. I think the days where people was just doing marketing is in Web3, it's difficult, because everyone is think in some level in all aspects. Everyone know a little bit about technology. Everyone knows a little bit about trading. Everybody knows a little bit about how blockchain is really, how it's working from the outside and the inside. Everyone knows a little bit about how to, monetize it, or what games should be doing. I think people should look at this market as like they are investors. So they are not good at all the things. They are not the best at marketing or technology, but they understand and they can have a conversation regarding a lot of aspect of this industry. I call it act as a duck. Ducks can swim, run, fly, walk, rock.
Yeah, everything. That's good. That's a good analogy.
I do have a question about what is right now. You said that this is like the best moment to build, right? So what will be like an interesting risk to invest, but with a lot of potential? Of course, no financial advice, but in your opinion, what will be like that one?
If you are a builder or investor?
Let's say investor first.
Yeah, I think first, it's not easy to raise money for the fund. Looking for LPs, limited partners, which are basically the people that put money in the fund itself, usually are family offices, banks, and usually you see a shift from the traditional financial world to blockchain, Web3, crypto. So during the COVID time, it was very easy to see that shift. Like it's not suddenly that the crypto market got to $3 trillion. The USA basically printed money during COVID, and interest was zero. So you see flow to high risk, high return things like funds or VCs. So first, it's not easy to raise the fund. Even if you're raising the fund and you're starting to invest, it's still, there is a lot of noise coming from 2021 and now 2022. A lot of companies raised a lot of money during those 2 years, but they don't really did any execution. So they are facing a reality where they don't have money so much and they need to raise money, but their valuation is dropped because they cannot fit the KPIs that they should be measured on. So I can tell you that I saw a lot of company now coming with, I want to raise another 2 million. I raised 2 million last year on $25 million valuation, but there is still no traction. So, from my side, my investor side, it's like, okay, so maybe I'm willing to give you $2 million, but it will not be on the same valuation. You need to go down, not up and not flat, because nothing.
Yeah, I don't want to go down. Yeah, exactly.
And I think the risk from investor side is very low. I'll tell you honestly. Not as an investing in tokens, because tokens can go down any day. But if I'm looking 4, 5, 6 years ahead, I don't see any way that the technology shift, AI, blockchain, whatever you want to call it, we rise again. It's happening 2000, happened in 2008, happening now, and it will happen again. But before it will happen again, another crisis, we will see the rise. So I'm not sure if investors will invest in the right companies. I don't know. That's a different story. But I think we'll see a massive adoption of technologies, not just blockchain and Web3. And there will be a rise again. Money is out there. Companies are out there. Builders are out there. They all understand that it's their best time to build. And the risk, I think even the risk on the builders is higher than the risk on the investor side, because they need to build in this not good market, and they need to bet that the market will go up. If it's not going up, they lost their time and money of investors, and they will do something else. But for investors, that is the profession. We are taking money. We want to put it in places where there will be high return and high risk. So we can take the risk of losing 15 investments out of 20. That's the game.
Yeah.
So with 5, it can be fine, right? Like you can invest in 20 and 5 are do well. So it doesn't, well, of course matter, but it's not that big deal if you lose 15, let's say. Maybe the 5 will cover the rest. Is that?
I'll tell you my metric. If it's a $50 million, first, if it's a 50 like we do, a $50 million fund, it's much more easier to return than 300, 400. That's for sure. And then it's depend on what you hold. So if it's equity, the long-term plays is here, and basically you're waiting for the company to be mature and sell it on a secondary or even IPO it, but that takes more than 3, 4, 5 years for sure. If it's tokens, it's much more easier to liquidate it, of course, and we are looking on a higher multiply. And funds like us, which are very agile and flexible, we also have an opportunistic bucket of few millions when we do secondary trading on tokens, we do mining, we do staking. So, the average percentage of doing 5 to 10 a year, it's happening anyway if you are in this market and you know how to do secondary or mining. But if we take 20, 25 companies, I guess 1 or 2 or 3 should return the whole fund. So if I put $1 million in a protocol in Solana, I expect it to go out in 100x, 50x. So I expect the number 1 to return the whole fund, and then few other medium to return the 2x to 3x, 4x, and then at least 70-75% will return 0.
Yeah. So the time has, flown. We already, past the half an hour. But can you give us some parting comments, or on everything's very exciting, and your vision that this is the right time to build, and why I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't get the point.
Yeah, can you give us some final comments, please?
Final comment. Yeah. I think final comment will come from my personal experience. I was in that market, and I was on the investment side, and I was working closely with the builders. And then when I went to a detour and took a detour to a different industry, and now last year I came back, and it's It's not I took the decision to come back because it's so exciting to be part of the opportunity, or the potential to do so many things in that space, from technology to users to buildings to investing. Um, and 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 I personally saw the cycle. I was in the cycle. I was there in the hype. I was there in the down, and I know that it will come back stronger. So we will see a massive adoption. I don't know where, how, what will be the name. Back then it was ICO, then NFT. I don't know what will be the one that will lead the effect, but I'm quite sure it will be a more mature technology and market. I don't think we'll see again, FTX. It will be very difficult to create another FTX or another Celsius or another Luna. Because each time it's happening, the regulators are coming in more ways to stop it. But I think that's the time. I'm very excited about it from all the investor side, builder side. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Oron. Very nice to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Metatech. Please feel free to subscribe and share. We'll catch you in the next episode.